September 3, 1939, 10:27 a.m., cold Atlantic spray slams against steel. The deck shudders beneath heavy boots as a lookout grips the rail, knuckles white, eyes burning from salt and wind. Somewhere below, engines throb in a steady, anxious rhythm. The air smells of diesel, wet rope, and fear. A distant thump rolls through the water, not loud, not close enough to see, yet close enough to be felt in the chest. Men freeze. They listen. The ocean moves as if nothing has happened, but something has. War has been declared for barely an hour, and already the Atlantic is no longer just water. It is a battlefield. For centuries, the Atlantic Ocean had been a highway of trade and empire. Now it becomes something darker. Vast. Unmarked. Unforgiving. No front lines. No flags. Only steel hulls and human lives spread across thousands of miles of restless sea. Britain enters the Second World War with an ancient vulnerability. It is an island that cannot feed itself. Every loaf of bread, every shell fired by its guns, every drop of oil burned by its ships must come by sea. More than 1 million tons of supplies cross the Atlantic every single week just to keep the nation alive. If those ships stop arriving, Britain does not need to be invaded. It simply starves. In Berlin, this reality is well understood. Adolf Hitler remembers the First World War, when German U-boats nearly strangled Britain into submission. He knows the lesson history taught too late in 1917, a war against Britain is a war against its shipping, and this time, Germany is ready. The first merchant ships are sunk within hours of the declaration of war. Not by aircraft. Not by surface fleets. But by submarines, long, narrow predators slipping silently beneath the waves. German U-boats are not glamorous machines. They are cramped. Damp. Claustrophobic. Diesel fumes hang thick inside. Condensation drips from steel walls onto bunks and bread alike. Men sleep inches from torpedoes, engines, and each other. There is no privacy. No fresh air once submerged. Only discipline, routine, and the knowledge that a single mistake means death for everyone on board. Yet these boats offer something priceless: invisibility. A U-boat can lie in wait for days, batteries low, crew exhausted, listening through hydrophones as propellers pass overhead. When the moment comes, it rises just enough. A periscope breaks the surface. A captain counts seconds. Calculates speed. Distance. Angle. Then, quietly, a torpedo slides free. No warning. No duel. Just impact. In the opening months of the war, the Atlantic belongs to Germany. Britain's merchant fleet is large but vulnerable. Many ships still sail alone, scattered across the ocean, following peacetime habits in a wartime world. Escorts are few. Aircraft coverage is limited. Sonar, still new and unreliable, offers more hope than certainty. For sailors, the fear is constant and intimate. There is no enemy to see. No direction to face. Just the endless question beneath every wave: is something watching us right now? When a torpedo hits, it is rarely dramatic at first. A dull explosion below the waterline. The deck tilts. Lights go out. Steam screams from ruptured pipes. Within minutes, a ship that took years to build begins to die. The Atlantic is cold. Brutally cold. In winter, survival time in the water can be measured in minutes. Oil from ruptured fuel tanks coats the surface, burning skin and blinding eyes. Lifeboats are hard to launch on a rolling sea. Some never make it off the deck. The ocean does not care who you are. Back in London, charts fill with pins marking sinkings. Red pins. Too many red pins. By early 1940, Britain is losing merchant ships faster than they can be replaced. Food is rationed. Fuel is conserved. The margin for error shrinks with every week. Winston Churchill, newly appointed Prime Minister, understands the stakes immediately. Later, he will admit that nothing in the war frightened him more than the U-boat threat, because everything depends on the sea. Troops cannot move. Factories cannot run. Cities cannot eat without ships, and the Atlantic is enormous. Germany's strategy is brutally simple. Do not seek glory. Do not chase battleships. Sink cargo. Sink fuel. Sink food. Sink hope. Admiral Karl Donitz, commander of Germany's submarine force, refines tactics based on bitter experience. Submarines operate in groups, spread across shipping lanes. When one finds a convoy, it does not attack immediately. It reports. It shadows. It waits. Then, after nightfall, the pack gathers. U-boats surface in darkness, running on diesel engines faster than many escorts. They slip between columns of merchant ships, firing torpedoes at point-blank range. Explosions flash briefly, illuminating hulls and rigging like lightning in a storm. Confusion reigns. Escorts race toward one contact while another submarine strikes from the opposite side. To sailors, it feels like being attacked by ghosts. Meanwhile, Britain scrambles to respond. Convoys become mandatory, grouping merchant ships together under escort. New escort vessels are rushed into service, small, tough ships designed not for speed or elegance, but endurance. Corvettes roll heavily in rough seas, their decks perpetually wet, crews soaked and exhausted. Many sailors are reservists. Fishermen. Teenagers, they learn as they fight. Sonar operators strain to interpret echoes through layers of noise, waves, engines, marine life. Is that a submarine? Or just the ocean playing tricks again? Depth charges are dropped based on instinct as much as data. Explosions churn the sea into boiling white foam. Sometimes, nothing happens. Sometimes, oil rises to the surface, and sometimes, the U-boat escapes. Above it all lies a deadly gap. In the middle of the Atlantic, beyond the reach of land-based aircraft, convoys pass through what sailors come to call the air gap. Here, there is no cover from the sky. No reassurance of eyes watching overhead. Only escorts and whatever luck the ocean chooses to give. U-boats know this zone well. Losses spike. Anxiety follows every crossing. Crews mark days on bulkheads, counting how long they have survived so far. Letters home grow shorter. More careful. Some stop writing altogether. The war on land is still in its early stages. France has not yet fallen. The world does not yet grasp how long this conflict will last, but at sea, one truth is already clear. If Britain cannot solve the Atlantic problem, the rest of the war may never matter, and beneath the waves, German submarines are just getting started. The question now is not whether ships will be sunk, but whether anyone can find a way to stop it before the ocean claims control of the war itself. May 1941, 2:18 a.m., rain lashes the bridge windows, blurring the horizon into darkness. The convoy presses on at 8 knots, engines strained, hulls creaking as waves slam against steel plates. Somewhere ahead, a signal lamp flickers once, twice, then goes dark. A lookout stiffens. The sea feels crowded tonight. Too quiet. Too close. Below the surface, listening devices hum softly. A German U-boat drifts on electric motors, crew holding their breath as propeller beats pass overhead. The captain checks his watch. This convoy is large. Poorly escorted. Perfect. By 1941, the Battle of the Atlantic has settled into a grim rhythm. Convoys sail. U-boats hunt. Escorts react. Losses mount, but something subtle is changing. Germany's early success has drawn the Atlantic into the very center of the war. What began as a naval campaign is now a massive industrial, scientific, and intelligent struggle, one that stretches from freezing seas to secret rooms filled with chalkboards, slide rules, and intercepted radio signals, and the outcome will depend on far more than torpedoes. On the surface, the Allies adapt through necessity. Convoy systems become tighter, more disciplined. Ships sail in defined columns, maintaining strict spacing to reduce chaos during attacks. Escorts learn to resist the instinct to chase every contact, staying close to the merchant ships instead of leaving gaps in the formation. New weapons appear. Depth charges are improved with better fuses and adjustable settings, allowing explosions at precise depths. Forward-throwing weapons like the Hedgehog projector are introduced, launching patterns of small bombs ahead of escort ships instead of behind them. For the first time, submarines can be attacked while sonar contact is maintained, but none of this guarantees success. U-boats are still hard to find. And the Atlantic is still enormous. Technology begins to tip the balance in small, incremental ways. Radar, once crude and unreliable, improve steadily. Escort ships gain the ability to detect surfaced submarines at night or through fog, conditions U-boats once used as cover. High-frequency direction finding, known as HFDUF, allows Allied ships to triangulate the location of U-boat radio transmissions. Every message a submarine sends now carries risk. Every second on the surface is a gamble. German crews feel it. Patrols grow longer. Stress increases. The ocean, once a place of opportunity, begins to feel hostile. Still, the U-boats continue to sink ships. Britain bleeds, but it does not break. Then, the war widens. In June 1941, Germany invades the Soviet Union. Resources stretch thinner. Submarines are needed everywhere, yet the Atlantic remains critical. Oil shipments. Food convoys. Raw materials. Everything still flows, or fails, across the sea, and then, in December, the world shifts again. December 7, 1941, the United States enters the war. For Germany, this is both a challenge and an opportunity. America possesses enormous industrial potential, but it is unprepared for submarine warfare. Its coastlines are brightly lit at night. Merchant ships sail independently. Convoys are slow to form. Coastal defenses are minimal. German U-boats move west. What follows is devastating. Along the eastern seaboard of the United States and into the Caribbean, U-boats strike with near impunity. Tankers burn offshore, flames visible from beaches and hotel windows. Survivors drift ashore. Wreckage washes up with the tide. German crews call it the second happy time. Allied losses soar. Ironically, the ocean closest to America, one of the safest places in the world just months earlier, becomes one of the deadliest. But history does not pause for long victories. American industry awakens with staggering speed. Shipyards work around the clock. Welding replaces riveting, speeding construction. Prefabricated sections are assembled like massive steel puzzles. The result is the Liberty ship, simple, ugly, slow, but revolutionary. At peak production, a Liberty ship can be built in weeks, sometimes days. The Atlantic becomes a race between sinking and building. Can submarines destroy ships faster than factories can replace them? For the first time, Germany faces a question it cannot easily answer. Meanwhile, something extraordinary is happening far from the sea. In Britain, inside unassuming buildings, teams of mathematicians, linguists, engineers, and clerks work in total secrecy. They listen to the Atlantic through paper and ink. Intercepted messages. Repeated phrases. Patterns hidden inside chaos. German U-boats rely on Enigma encryption to communicate. The system is complex, elegant, and believed to be unbreakable. It is not. Through a combination of captured materials, mathematical insight, and relentless effort, Allied codebreakers begin to read portions of German naval traffic. Not always. Not instantly. But often enough, convoys are quietly rerouted away from wolf packs. U-boats arrive at empty seas. Some commanders grow suspicious. Others assume bad luck. No one imagines the truth, and the ocean, once again, begins to change character. Air power extends its reach. Long-range patrol aircraft equipped with radar and depth charges close the dreaded mid-Atlantic gap. Escort carriers, small aircraft carriers built specifically for convoy defense, bring fighters and bombers into areas once unreachable. From above, the sea looks different. Wake patterns betray submarines just below the surface. A shadow. A ripple. A fleeting shape. Attacks are sudden and violent. A bomb strikes. Water erupts. Oil spreads. Debris floats. Sometimes, there are survivors. Often, there are none. By late 1942, the Atlantic is no longer an easy hunting ground for U-boats. Losses increase. Veteran crews are killed. Training standards drop as Germany rushes replacements into service. Still, the fight continues, because the stakes are now higher than ever. Across the ocean, millions of soldiers prepare. Tanks. Trucks. Fuel. Ammunition. All of it must cross the Atlantic to reach Europe. Without secure sea lanes, no invasion is possible. No liberation. No final victory. The Allies know this. Germany knows it too. Both sides feel the pressure building toward something decisive. The Atlantic has absorbed years of blood and steel, but it has not yet chosen a winner, and as 1943 approaches, the question hanging over the waves is no longer whether ships will be sunk, but whether the hunters themselves are about to face extinction beneath the very waters they once ruled. May 1943, 4:41 a.m. The sea is strangely calm. A pale dawn spreads across the Atlantic, turning the waves to dull silver. On the bridge of an escort carrier, an officer stares into the distance, breath fogging the cold air. Far below, a sonar operator stiffens. A clean contact. Strong. Moving slowly, orders are given quietly. Aircraft engines begin to turn. Somewhere beneath the surface, a German submarine captain listens to unfamiliar sounds, new patterns, new rhythms, closing in from multiple directions at once. For the first time in this war, the ocean feels small. By the spring of 1943, the Battle of the Atlantic reaches its breaking point. What had been a contest of endurance becomes a contest of survival. For the submarines themselves, the Allies have learned. Painfully. Thoroughly. And now they bring everything to bear. Convoys move with confidence. Escort groups are no longer tied to a single formation. They roam aggressively, hunting contacts instead of merely reacting. Aircraft patrol day and night, their presence constant, exhausting, inescapable. U-boats can no longer surface freely to recharge batteries. When they do, radar sees them. When they transmit, direction finding locates them. When they dive, sonar follows. There is no safe layer left in the ocean. New weapons seal the shift. Forward-throwing anti-submarine weapons strike ahead of ships while sonar contact is maintained, removing the blind spot that once saved submarines. Improved depth charges detonate at precise depths. Mines appear in transit routes. Coordinated attacks keep U-boats submerged for hours, draining batteries and oxygen. Inside the submarines, conditions deteriorate rapidly. Air grows foul. Carbon dioxide levels rise. Sweat soaks clothing despite the cold. Batteries weaken. Men grow lightheaded. Every sound, every creak of the hull, feels like the prelude to death. Some commanders break off attacks without firing a single torpedo. The hunters are running out of places to hide. Losses spike with terrifying speed. In May 1943 alone, Germany loses more than 40 U-boats, an unsustainable rate. Entire crews vanish without trace. Experienced captains are gone, replaced by men with minimal training and even less hope. Admiral Karl Donitz reads the reports and understands what they mean. This is not a temporary setback, this is collapse. German submarine operations in the Atlantic are scaled back. New technologies, like snorkels and advanced torpedoes, promise hope someday, but the present is unforgiving. The Atlantic, once Germany's greatest weapon, has turned against it, and with that shift, the strategic balance of the war changes forever, because victory at sea unlocks everything else. With Atlantic supply lines secured, Allied industry moves unimpeded. Fuel flows. Food arrives. Raw materials pour into Britain. Troops cross in numbers never before seen. Tanks roll down docks. Aircraft are assembled and flown directly into combat zones. The ocean becomes a bridge. Across it travels the force that will land in North Africa, then Italy, and finally, inevitably, France. None of it is possible without the Atlantic being held. Yet even in victory, the cost is staggering. More than 70,000 Allied sailors lose their lives in the Battle of the Atlantic. Merchant seamen, often unarmed, underprotected, and underrecognized, pay a particularly heavy price. Many have no memorial but the sea itself. German losses are severe as well. Around 30,000 U-boat crewmen die, nearly 3 out of every 4 who serve. It is one of the highest casualty rates of any branch in the war. Steel coffins. Silent graves. The ocean keeps them all. As the war moves on, the Atlantic fades from headlines. Battles on land draw cameras and crowds. But the sea never truly rests. Convoys continue to sail until the final days of the conflict. Submarines continue to hunt, though with diminishing effect. The struggle does not end in a single moment of surrender. It simply tilts, quietly, decisively. Today, the Atlantic looks peaceful. Cargo ships cross in steady lines. Aircraft trace invisible routes overhead. Modern navies patrol with satellites, sonar, and systems undreamed of in 1939. But beneath the waves, history remains. Wrecks lie scattered across the seabed, merchant ships frozen in time, submarines resting where alarms once screamed and men waited in darkness. They are reminders of a war fought not for territory, but for survival itself. A war where innovation became a weapon, where mathematics could sink a submarine, where control of an ocean decided the fate of continents. The Battle of the Atlantic was not won by a single invention or a single victory. It was won by adaptation. By learning faster than the enemy. By refusing to accept that the sea belonged to anyone. It proved that modern war is not only fought by soldiers and sailors, but by engineers, factory workers, codebreakers, and countless unseen hands, and it left a lesson that still echoes today. In a world connected by oceans, the line between safety and catastrophe may be thinner than a ship's hull, and the struggle to protect it never truly ends. Somewhere out there, beneath miles of dark water, the Atlantic keeps its secrets, and the silence it holds still asks the same question it asked in 1939, who controls the sea, when everything depends on it?